Redux, the podcast where we watch trash horror movies so you don't have to. I'm Ashley Atkins, notable extra in an upcoming spooky movie.
And I'm Carter Rhodes, and I can't eat gluten. And with us today is the former treasurer of the UMass fencing team, the least qualified scuba instructor I have ever met, and the New England's #1 Scream expert, Joe Distasio.
Hi, that's me. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
It took me a while to get that title.
Yeah.
I
don't know which title you're referring to.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know it took a lot of work.
Yeah. Hi, thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you.
All right, so do you know how this show works, Joe?
Yeah, I've listened to your entire catalog. I've listened to all of it.
Well, first we're going to give you a plot recap. In this case, we're going to do the original as well. We're going to give you some fun facts about the movie, and then we're going to break it down into the good, the bad, and the spooky. From there, we will give our ratings. So just a warning, there will be spoilers, both for the Scream remake and for the original Scream, and for every Scream in between.
I don't want to talk about Scream.
We don't have to talk about Scream. It might come up a little bit. But
Great. Before we get into it, just a little housekeeping. It's come to our attention that people have been wondering what kind of movies we're going to do besides, horror. I guess it's a pretty big genre. And nothing's off the table. We're going to cover all of it, everything. If you don't like it, we're going to watch it. Also, the last few episodes have been bi-weekly, but we're going to switch to a weekly schedule. So be excited for that.
Excellent. So Scream, which takes place in 1996, follows Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell, a girl whose mother died a year earlier. She's repeatedly attacked by a masked killer wearing a very generic Halloween costume called Ghostface. She begins to suspect different members of her friends, including her boyfriend, and the movie culminates in a fatal showdown in which her boyfriend is stabbed, several of her friends are stabbed, and it's revealed that he faked the stabbing, and he and another friend have been working together as two separate killers. And the second half of the movie becomes almost a meta commentary on horror. It's one of my favorite movies. I love it. The remake, I don't love it. The story of Scream remake begins with Tara being stabbed in a scene mirroring one from the original, which causes Tara's sister, Sam, to return to the hometown of Woodsboro, where the original took place. It's revealed that she is the biological daughter of Billy Loomis and is suffering from hallucinations in which she can see him as he tells her to kill. So Ghostface is killing people related to the original movies, and she enlists her boyfriend, Richie, and the characters from the original, Dewey, Gail, and Sydney, to find the killer and stop them before they can kill her and her sister. There's a long, painful sequence in which they explain that this is a requel, which is a remake that is also a sequel. It's very bad. It lacks all of the subtlety and nuance of the original's kind of meta commentary. And ultimately it ends in almost the exact same way. They return to literally the same house, and she doesn't know who the killer is. She can't trust anyone, and it's ultimately revealed that her boyfriend and Tara's best friend are the killers, who met on an online forum, explicitly stated to be Reddit, where they fell in love and decided to recreate Scream, in which the fans, which is them, get to dictate how the story goes and get to kill the original actors. However, before they can do that, Sam channels her father, the serial killer, and is able to grab a knife and stab them to death.
Billy Loomis redemption arc.
Yes. And you'll notice I didn't mention any new characters other than Tara and Sam, because they're so forgettable. But we're going to get into
Take that. Mr. Football is the best character in the movie.
We're going to
take that back.
Well, I think Tara's best friend is a little important.
She's important because we're going to get into it.
Okay. You did mention her. Never mind.
Amber, yeah.
Why don't you take us away?
Awesome. So I got some great facts. They're mainly just about the new one. It was released on January 14th, 2022. There was no premiere because of COVID. It was directed by Matt Benedil and Tyler Gillette. I butchered that, but their most notable movie is Ready or Not, 2019. And then it was written by James Vanderbilt, who is known for Zodiac and The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and Guy Busick, who was also a part of Ready or Not.
Is Ready or Not that movie with the actress that looks like Margot Robbie but isn't Margot Robbie? Or is that a different movie?
I don't recall.
Which one's
Ready or
I
Not
have
at
no
all.
idea. The movie stars Melissa Barrera as Sam, who is notably from In the Heights, Jack Quaid as Richie, who had a small role in The Hunger Games and is in The Boys. Fun fact, though, he's Meg Ryan's son. Mickey Madison as Amber, and she's notably in Better Things and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Jenna Marie Ortega as Tara, and she's in the Disney show Stuck in the Middle, You, Babysitter, Killer Queen, and Yes Day. And then we have our recurring cast, who consists of Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott, Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, David Arquette as Dewey Riley, and then Roger L. Jackson, who is the voice of Ghostface. Fun facts now. So Matthew Dillard, Drew Barrymore, Jamie Kennedy, Henry Winkler, Hayden Panettiere, and Adam Brody, all from previous movies, provided voiceovers for the partygoers who participate in the Toast for Wes, which is a tribute to Wes Craven, who was the original director who passed away in 2015. Matthew Lillard also makes an appearance as the Chrome Ghostface in the scene from Stab 8, which I thought was fun.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Wow,
I didn't know
okay.
that either.
Okay, that's neat.
He would love to reprise his role as Stu.
In the original, Stu was killed by Sidney pushed a just massive TV.
CRT.
Yeah, CRT onto his head and crushed him and electrocuted him.
Oh, I forgot to mention that Skeet Ulrich also reprised
Very
his
much.
role of Billy, who was the killer, but only in like some short scenes as a hallucination.
Oh, we'll get to those scenes.
Oh yeah, they're on the list.
But yes, so moving on. Sorry, I have a lot of facts. There was an alternate scene shot where Dewey survives because the producers wanted it, so they filmed it knowing they weren't going to use it. Similar to the plot of 3, which I know we're not talking about, but the cast, listen, the cast received multiple copies of the script, and they shot multiple extra scenes so that they couldn't leak anything. And it was confirmed before, in 2021, that they were doing that.
Did you actually hear that? They, like Scream 3, they actually hid the true ending inside a house with gas filling inside of it, and they made Dylan Minnette go inside and get it.
No, I did not hear
They blew
that.
it up, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a reference to Scream 3.
I think they
No
got
one,
that.
no one's gonna get. No one's gonna see that movie.
I have not seen that movie.
Oh, you're in for a treat then.
The only two people in New England who have seen Scream 3
Is the resident Scream expert and the second resident Scream expert. My apprentice.
Okay, so the film had a $24 million budget, which was almost about $10 million more than the original Scream, which was $15 million. And worldwide, it made $140 million. So it did pretty well.
God.
Speaking of people loving it, on Rotten Tomatoes, 78% rating and an average rating of 6.7 out of 10.
That sounds about right. That second part.
Yeah.
It was about that.
I feel like the 78 is too high.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like the 6.5 is too high.
It is.
It is,
2
but-
percentage points worse than the Hannah Montana movie, and that's not right.
No, that's not right at all.
With the Rotten Tomatoes for
Yeah.
Hannah Montana is 80%.
Yes, it is.
Are you serious?
Mhm.
That should be. At
I
least
know because it's the
90.
same rating as Fight Club.
Are you covering Fight Club, the scariest movie?
Yeah.
Of all time? Scary because people don't get it.
Yeah, the real horror is toxic masculinity.
Oh, but speaking of Rotten Tomatoes, there was a movie on like the side list that had 90%, and I was like, ooh, what is this? It's called Cow. It's a documentary of the life of a dairy cow.
I swear to God, when you said cow, my brain pictured the Channing Tatum dog movie. Dog with a cow.
Do you remember, we were in the theater, and it's like, I knew what the name of it was, you didn't. And I'm like, hey, what do you think this movie's called? And you go, Dog. And then it was literally Dog. Like, actually Dog, dude. Oh my god.
Okay, I have some more fun facts. Don't
Okay.
worry. So, originally Chad was supposed to die, but they really liked the actor.
Mr. Football.
So they decided not to kill him off in case they were approved for more movies. They could bring him back. Fans were upset over the fact that the movie was being called Scream and not Scream 5, which was very similar to in the movie where they called the Stab 8 stab. My least favorite line, that is, I'm Sidney fucking Prescott, of course I have a gun. Neve Campbell came up with that.
Neve. No.
Is it pronounced Neve?
Yeah, it's Neve.
Oh, yeah.
If it's not, then...
Yeah,
it's gotta be Neve.
I've been calling her Nev, and no one has corrected me, but granted, it's been
There's-
to you guys in this room.
I think
so.
it's Neve.
I think
Because
it is.
the silent E at the end of the name makes the vowel. I don't know, I don't teach English. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I teach scuba.
I teach
Or
scuba.
rather, you don't teach scuba.
I teach redacted at redacted.
Last couple of things. So, Roger L. Jackson was actually on the phone with the actors during the phone call scenes and actually saying his lines. And then, so originally when they made this movie, they basically wanted to do everything in case they weren't approved for more movies. So they're just like, we gotta hit it all and do it all right, but they've been approved for Scream 6.
It was like a week
Oh,
after. It was like a week after.
Really?
Yeah.
They've been approved?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
literally, I think shooting starts like mildly soon.
Oh.
Like, it's like
Yeah.
ridiculous how fast it went.
I want to die.
Well, I mean,
And-
after we see the movie, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Now we have to talk about the movie.
I'd like to start with
Perfect.
the good, if you guys don't mind. So, what I liked about New Scream is Richie. He plays Huey on The Boys. Jack Quaid, that's his name. He had become a really entertaining character by the end. Throughout the movies, we later find out this is a lie, but he starts by claiming he's never seen any of the Stab movies. I don't think I mentioned it, but the Stab movies are a fictional franchise that is the Scream movies made into movie form in that universe. So he's never seen the Stab movies, and so throughout the movie, he's just always sitting on his own on his phone with his headphones in, and whenever anyone asks what he's doing, he goes, I'm watching Stab 3, I'm watching Stab 4, and eventually it leads to him, he's watching, like, people break down why the movies suck. He has a lot of really great lines. Someone's like, he killed the sheriff. And he's like, he killed the sheriff? He can do that? He's like, I need to keep all the blood inside my body. There's this scene where Neve Campbell's going around shooting the doors and then checking them, and she shoots it, and he gets hit. And she's like, why didn't you come out? I said come out. And he goes, obviously I'm not coming out. There's a killer out.
He was such a good character. He was so
Yeah.
good until the end.
He got a little unhinged at the end. Before that, he
Yeah.
was great.
He was really entertaining.
No, I think he's unironically a really good, not a good character, but like a fun character until
Yeah.
he's revealed to be the killer.
I
And
would've-
then I think he loses all stock in my mind.
I have to agree with
Yeah.
that.
I would have... Part of the strength of Scream is the characters, which is why, unlike most horror movies, the killer isn't the one who comes back every time. It's the survivors and the killers change. Because the characters are so interesting. They're funny, they're human.
At least the main three.
I would watch Scream 6 if Richie was in it, because he was funny. I enjoyed him.
Didn't he die?
Yeah, maybe
Yes.
He'll be like a
His-
Jenna,
do
Jenna
not-
Ortega
His
will
infant
hallucinate him.
daughter.
Please, do not. I never want to see another hallucination.
of
Of-
Billy fucking Loomis getting a.
Oh my God. But I will say about that, though, the makeup or whatever they did to make him look young was really good.
Yeah, no, I also like how you also look dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Recreating the character was good. It just was not necessary.
the fact that I have nothing bad to say about the costume or makeup probably is like a good, like, it speaks to how decent it was, how
Yeah.
good it was.
It did have a high production value. That's not my issue with
Yeah.
it.
No.
I will say, on the topic of characters we actually like, this might be a hot take, but I actually think Jenna Ortega did a really good job. I think with what she had to work with, she did a fucking
She's a
fantastic
good
job.
actress. I don't know if the character was written well.
Actually, I think probably the biggest thing I actually liked about the movie was that Tara doesn't die in the main scene. I think with Scream, which is supposed to be a movie about like, ooh, it subverts stuff, it's tropes don't work, the cliches don't work. I think her surviving is a really decent plot point until it's like, you know, it's like, ooh, it was masterminded the entire time. But like, I actually think that's like really cool, and it's kind of like not hinted at in Scream 4 because there's no way they fucking foreshadowed that. But like, something similar happens at the end of Scream 4 with Neve or with Sydney, where Jill's like, oh, I killed Sydney. It's like, I didn't. And then it's like, oh, fuck. That's fucked up.
I have mixed feelings about Jenna Ortega's character, because in the beginning of the original Scream, there's one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema, which is Drew Barrymore in this I don't know, 10, 15-minute scene, receives a phone call, and it goes on until it's revealed that it's from someone watching her.
Drew Barrymore's performance was flawless.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the best performances of her life.
I mean, I think that scene in general is probably one of the best. Yeah. It's like, I think it's a top 5 horror scene for sure.
Absolutely.
Like, the opening to Scream is just fucking fantastic.
Yes. So the killer kind of makes her play a game in which he asks her horror movie trivia, and ultimately he ends up attacking her, and even though it looks like maybe she might survive, he kills her. And that's such a big deal because she gets about equal screen time in the trailer as Neve Campbell. She's the largest character on the DVD cover, on all the posters. It's very clearly implied it's going to be Drew Barrymore and Neve Campbell are the characters. And the fact that they kill her off 10 minutes in, you've subconsciously, through all this, believed that she's going to live. You've allowed yourself, because most horror movies, when you see a character that you know isn't very important, you know they're going to die.
Yeah.
And so you don't get connected to them. You don't feel anything when they die. Drew Barrymore, and the fact that they cast an A-list actress, the fact that they made a big deal advertising her, I was surprised that she died. And so part of the problem I have with the remake, which does a very similar opening scene,
it's like the exact same thing,
is that, and I'm not saying that Jenna Ortega isn't good or isn't prolific, but everybody knew who Drew Barrymore was. I didn't recognize Jenna Ortega. Everyone recognized Drew Barrymore.
All right. I'm only defending the movie now. You can see my list of dislikes, so
Yeah.
you know that I'm not defending this movie. Is that we are very much not the marketed people for Scream. The
True.
people that Scream is marketed to, the remake, are like the people that the original Scream would have been marketed to. And in that demographic, Jenna Ortega and oh my god, what's her name? The other one, Barrera,
yeah.
Melissa Barrera, are very prolific.
Right. But even still, Jenna Ortega, most of her work has been voice acting. You don't recognize her face right off the bat.
She's just breaking into movies, and that's part of it. I mean, the thing is, though, like, she was on Disney when a lot of these Gen Zers were watching Disney. So, like, kind of just after us.
In the transition period.
Yeah. Well, I'd never seen the movie, her show. I didn't.
Oh, me neither.
But I knew who she was. She was in You, which is one of my favorite shows. Like, it's because I've seen things with her. It's not because she's that well known.
Yeah. Oh, she's super Netflixy. That's what it is. She's in a lot of Netflix stuff.
She is in a lot of Netflix stuff.
Here's how I would change it. I would have Tom Holland.
Yeah, you're right.
Just imagine, because he carries this natural charisma from role to role. You can't help but like him. And so even knowing that they were copying the same scene, I would still be bummed to see Spider-Man get stabbed.
Wait, I need to see that now.
And it's also an interesting update where it's a breaking of the trope in which a woman dies first and a woman lives last, is Tom Holland getting killed first.
Absolutely eviscerated.
I would have loved to see that, but they kept her alive.
And that's part of the reason I think it's decent, because you know what Scream blew its load too early. That's the problem with Scream, is that, like, they were just so good off the bat. So every time you see Cotton Mather in Scream 3, sorry, I know I'm the only person that gets that reference. It's like, oh, he's dead. He's dead. You see, like, those, I forget what the name of the actress is, but, like, the 2 prolific actors in Scream 2, you're like, oh, they're dead. So, like, when you see Jenna Ortega, who even if you don't think she's that big of an actress, you're like, okay, she's dead.
Right.
So I appreciate sticking with the theme of Scream, trying to, like, you know, subvert stuff, her being alive at the end. And I also think that could have, I'm not saying it did, could have had some interesting ramifications on the plot. I like the idea. Do I think it was done perfectly? No. Do I wish Tom Holland got just stabbed to death? Yeah, that'd be fucking hilarious.
Scream 6, we're starting a petition that Tom Holland be the opening.
You mean Stab 10.
You're right, sorry, Stab 10.
God.
Yeah. Can I plug that fan edit now?
Yes,
if someone can find it?
Please do.
So in Scream, I think it's 3. Is it 3 or 4?
I think it's 4.
It's 4. So Stab is a fictional movie series in the Scream universe, which is based on the killings that occur in Scream. Which is it's not interesting, but it could be interesting. So in Scream 4, there's an opening scene, and there's two actresses, which I think were actually somewhat well known. I forget who they were, but one of them dies. And it turns out that that's actually the beginning to Stab 6. It cuts to 2 other characters, one of which is actually a pretty prolific actress. I forget who it was, though.
I can't remember, but
But
I
it was
making
unironically well known, I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're watching it, and they're talking, and then that actress gets stabbed and dies, and you're like, oh god, this is the movie. That turns out to be Stab 7. And then it cuts to, like, the actual movie. And the entire movie plays out. And then, like, everything gets resolved at the end. Like, Neve's okay, Jill's, like, half dead or, like, super wounded or whatever. And then just someone edited a title card for Stab 8 at the end, and it just cuts to black. And that is objectively one of the funniest things that has ever been done ever. And I'm pissed I cannot find that fan edit anymore, because it is hysterical.
I'm pretty sure it's Emma Roberts.
I think it's Emma
I was
Roberts.
gonna say, I think I saw something about it that it was.
Yeah, it's Emma Roberts.
Yeah. That is one of the things I have on my good list, is that every character, minor or otherwise, they cram as famous an actor as they possibly can. From Drew Barrymore dying in the beginning to they had Heather goddamn Graham play her in the Stab thing, which is hilarious to me because it like
Okay, but also the cast of Stab when she pulls it up on her phone is on my good list because it's David Schwimmer,
yeah,
Tori Spelling, Heather. It's incredible. I'm like I would go see this movie.
Luke Wilson plays
Luke Wilson.
Billy Loomis. I enjoyed that because it was a little bit of the self-aware humor that I loved about Scream.
Yeah.
Of the look how many stars we have in this, so let's make a fun
And
joke.
it was the only moment in the entire movie which was like that.
Yeah.
So any other likes?
It's pretty slim pickings here.
I like your line, but I don't want to
few
spoil
things.
it. I don't want to spoil your line.
I'm gonna speed run mine. Ghostface looks sufficiently silly in fights. That's something Scream did well, which is whenever he can trip, he does.
Yeah. Well, but also like he looks like a person.
Yeah.
I love it.
He looks nice and silly because it kind of is silly whenever Jason swings his machete and misses, and they're kind of making fun of that. I liked that. David Arquette, Courtney Cox, Neve Campbell, outstanding. They do as good a job as they always do. I loved them. There's a scene in which a character goes to investigate music playing from his car. He turns it off, and as he steps away, he gets stabbed. And the music resumes. I liked that.
Okay, I have that also on my list, but I would like to highlight the song playing.
What was it? I forget.
I don't know the name of the song. I didn't look it up because...
Why would I?
Right, exactly. But it's like, he's a ghost, he's a ghost. It's like, that song, top notch.
Apparently that character actually was supposed to be who introduced David Arquette originally. Apparently there was a cut scene of David Arquette getting a drink with him at the bar and being like, oh, you staying out of trouble? And he's going to be like,
No.
Yeah, no. And then he's going to go get stabbed. And, like, that was supposed to be why, like, Dewey was like, oh, maybe I should actually help with the killing because I actually know what's happening. I don't think it was a particularly decent scene.
I don't think it needed.
I don't think that character needed to be in the movie, but that could be said for all of the characters.
But speaking of David Arquette and Dewey's my favorite character.
Oh,
was your favorite character.
Stop it.
Shut
You
the
stop it.
He's
Fuck
dead.
off, Joe.
He's dead.
I don't want to hear it. Dewey's the best character in the movie. I really love when they're sitting on the couch and he's like grilling her, like, how well do you know him? He's like, what do you mean? And then he goes, his rules too are like, he's like, it's always the love interest. I enjoyed it when I was watching it. In the end, I was like, it's a little annoying, but at the same time, I still really enjoyed it.
It's truly incredible to me how David Arquette can both capture this like young boy looking guy and he's a grizzled cop at the same time.
Truly.
It's such incredibly complex character.
He's like unironically a good character.
Yeah, no.
So is Sydney.
What was
and
that
Yale.
line when they're all gathered and they're accusing each other and Wes, who is an unimportant character, roasts him and is like, how do we know you're not the killer or whatever? And I can't remember the line, but he was like, you must be the killer because that fucking hurt, man.
Yeah, that's what
that
it
cuts
was.
deep.
That's what it is. That cuts deep.
Oh, I didn't like that line. I thought it was cheesy.
I thought
It was
dumb,
cheesy, but like I loved that character moment.
That's Dewey though.
Listen, it was appropriately cheesy.
I don't know, man.
I just like the vulnerability of the character.
He
That's
was
all.
very vulnerable,
Yeah.
especially when he got stabbed. No, dude, after what they pulled in Scream 4, I'm happy they actually killed. I'll add that to my likes. They killed off one of the main three.
I'm getting nervous because we're spending a lot of time on the good, and I know for a fact we have a lot of bad to talk about.
You still have stuff to say?
Yeah, okay.
Oh my god.
I'm going as fast as I can. Number one, Randy, who was like this horror movie aficionado who understood the genre in the original, and he was kind of the driving force that made it a meta movie, as he's trying to explain to people, he's like, I can't be the killer, I have no real, he's like, I kind of like Sydney, but there's no reason for me to be a killer. He's the one who's like, you guys can't have sex, because if you have sex, you're gonna get killed. You can't say, I'll be right back, because if you say that, you're gonna get killed. He was killed in the second movie, and
R.I.P.
two of the characters were his niece and nephew, so they had like a family meeting in their home theater, and they had this giant oil painting of Randy, and underneath it said Randy Meeks Memorial Home Theater.
Did it say that?
Yeah, it was like a plaque.
I didn't notice
it. was like a plaque.
That was so funny.
I really liked that. Throughout Scream, they have this running, I don't know what to call it, not cliche, but a trope, where when you think the killer's dead, they go and they shoot them in the head one last time to be absolutely sure. In this movie, when Dewey goes to do that, kind of around the halfway point of the movie, he's ambushed and stabbed. I enjoyed that turning of the trope where what normally signaled the end of the movie was instead used to attack him. And then lastly, thematically, the idea of the fans killing the franchise. That's very on brand for the kind of meta commentary of horror movies.
God.
I don't like how it was done.
Oh my god.
So you just like the idea.
I like the idea. It could have been done well.
Oh.
Is that not fair?
Oh, I'm gonna rip into you in about half an
Yeah.
hour. Let's go, dude. I'm hyped. All right.
The last thing I have to... this is more just on Scream. I love the Scream universe. I love how it exists within itself. Yeah, you... Okay.
Kirby's alive. Kirby's alive. You
Yes,
don't know
yeah.
who that...
No, but I read about it in my facts, yeah.
I'm happy about that.
And I did like the parallels to the original. I don't know how you guys feel about them, but I've only seen the first and the last, so I'm like, to me, I'm not worn out per se. Those things aren't lost on me, but
So what, you had seen the original though?
yeah.
So congratulations, you are now the third leading expert of Scream in New England.
The first one was amazing.
Yeah,
First
it's,
one
it's one of my favorite
I
movies.
think first one is a top 5 horror. Top 3.
Oh, yeah.
Top 3.
Top 3.
Like, Things,
absolutely.
Scream. Yeah, absolutely. They're up there.
Oh yeah.
Like, overall top 3. Not
Definitely.
even limited to slashers. It's...
Yeah.
It's a genuinely good movie.
I have The Shining, one other movie that I'm blanking on, which is a bad omen, and Scream.
Yeah. I think it actually might be similar. I think it's Scream, Shining, or sorry, no, I think it's Thing, Scream, Shining for me for the top 3.
You know, I'd like to revise it. For me, it's The Shining, Alien, The Thing,
Aliens,
Scream.
Oh, Aliens horror. I always think of it as sci-fi.
Aliens really...
Do you want to know
Aliens
why
good.
Scream was so good?
Are we done with...
I'm done with good, yeah.
Okay. So this episode has taken us longer than we thought, so we are going to resume this. Maybe next week, maybe we'll release them both at the same time. Either way, this is too long for one episode.
There's a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to break down. So, till next time, stay spooky.
Stay tuned for part 2.